Hey, friends.
Hey, friends.
Welcome to Leave Me Alone. I'm working on it. I'm Maria Julie.
All day, every day. I'm Cassie J.
Well, not all day, every day. Some days I can't be bothered. Some days I'm like, this is the version of me you get. Deal with it. But yes, most days we're working on it. We're working on it real hard. Uh, um, like today. Today we're trying really hard to. Well, I'm trying really hard to bring it. The things they didn't tell us about adulting, and we were in such a
So many,
hurry,
so many things.
such a hurry to
So
grow
many
up.
things.
Did
We're
you
in
ever do
such a
that
hurry to
thing
grow up.
where you were too? Well, I'm a short person. You were too short to reach the sink, also because you were too young, but you wanted to do the dishes because it felt like a grown up thing. And so you'd pull a stool up to the sink and you'd stand on it. And
I have never in my life ever wanted to do the dishes.
What?
That has never been my portion. Like, no.
My parents couldn't
I cannot
understand it.
relate.
Look, the thing is, I feel like I'm like Roman in that way. I want to do something because I want to do it, but the moment you tell me I have to do it, then I don't want to do it anymore.
So
So
got you. Stop telling me that
before
you're the same, yeah.
before I could do the dishes, I wanted to. So I'd pull up like a stool and I'd make a mess and I'd pour whatever because I was little. But then when I got to a point where I was old enough now and there was a roaster and I had to do dishes on some days and my sister had, God, I hated it. I was just like, no, just no. Why? Kids of nowadays will probably never, they'll never go through that because now there's a dishwasher. Just load the thing. It takes you how many
Load
minutes
the
to
dishwasher.
load. And actually, everyone should load their dishes. But even if you have to load, how long does it take you to load? Not this
I'm with
scrubbing
you.
the bottom of jollof pots with an iron sponge.
Shoo. Scrubbing the bottom of pots was the worst.
Oh gosh.
It's the worst.
Hated it. Actually, just washing
Hate
pots and pans, the worst.
In general, was
In
horrible.
general, it was horrible.
Horrible.
Oh,
Horrible.
thank God for technology and for advancement.
Well.
I honestly, I can't go back to it. So I see people wanting to like simplify life and go live in the woods and grow their own food and cook over a spitfire and not have electricity and not have a dishwasher or a washing machine and not have a toilet with running water. I don't even go camping because there is no toilet with running water. What are you saying? This is nah. There used to be
Camping
this
can be fun. Like I don't mind
glamping
camping,
though.
but it must be like if I'm in the woods, it must be like a nice fancy cabin in the woods.
Girl, that
Do you know
ain't
what I
camping.
mean? Like
That ain't camping. That's glamping.
You're right. Camping is not the right word. But like if I'm gonna do outdoorsy stuff, like at the end of the day I'm coming to a room with four walls and
exactly
a running toilet and that kind of thing.
and a nice bed. That's the thing.
Yes.
Like we can go out and
Yes.
do whatever. We can go hiking. We can go in the woods within reason. Because I'm still black. We don't play with some things. But you know this thing where we leave the comfort of the house, the homes we're paying so much dough for, to go sleep in a sleeping bag on the ground with the ants in the woods.
So funny.
Miss me. This is why I'm paying rent. Miss me.
It's so funny that you're like we paying money to be in these houses. I saw it. I don't know if it was a TikTok or an Instagram reel, but it was someone was it's this girl in this like beautiful house, and then the caption on the screen is like, what are you doing this weekend? And it's like me enjoying my mortgage.
I've seen it. I'm like, yes ma'am, I've seen it. The only response, because we're paying so much to live in houses. Yeah. Why are we anyway, I'm not that hard. I love my technology. Thank you very much. I bless God every day for it. What would my life be without it? I'm not giving it up. I'm so sorry.
With you.
So all of you who want to go back to the beginning and go back to the Ice Age, I wish you well. Me, I'm gonna be here on the side of advancement, waiting for the flying cars to arrive. This is where I'm gonna
Did
be.
you see Dubai? Dubai is getting the flying cars from next
Of
year.
course, Dubai is. Of course,
2026.
they are.
It's gonna cost you 350 dirhams to fly from like Palm Jumeirah to the airport. It'll be a 10-minute trip versus like a 50-minute like trip in
Three
the
hundred and
car.
fifty dirhams. Cass, that's not cheap.
No, nothing in Dubai is cheap.
I
Nothing in
know,
Dubai
but
is
like
cheap.
it's cheaper
But
to
like
Uber
it definitely is cheaper to take an Uber, and 1,000% is cheaper.
or a
But I'm like,
Kareem.
I in the concept of like flying cars,
Yeah,
I just was expecting it
to be
to
way more
not be this
expensive.
accessible.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, right. No, but that is not what
Yeah.
Dubai is all about. Dubai is all about
Correct.
accessible luxury.
For me, I was just expecting more like a 600, 750 dirham price point.
You're right.
Like
That's probably
that's
where.
what
Yeah.
that's where I thought we were gonna our entry point would be. But Palm Jumeirah to the airport, 350 dirhams. Like I would do that.
Yeah, I mean, if it's about the payment, the money, the cost, I would do it.
Yeah.
But again, let me remind you, my melanin is strong and my Nigerian is standing. It's not me who are using for your experiment. I'm gonna wait till flying cars has been
look.
around for a little bit before I get on one.
The first person to get in that thing. Well, you probably wasn't the first, but like earlier, the king was in that thing.
Girl,
the king was there.
I don't care. The king probably has an ambulance on standby. He's got blood on standby. There's a helicopter. There's all sorts of things. Me, I'm just little old me. If I fall from the sky,
1,000%.
only Jesus can catch me. I'm not playing. I'm not playing. I'm not playing. When people have tested it well.
I would be a semi-early adopter. I would be very excited to be in one.
I would
so,
be
yeah.
excited. I just, yeah, I'm not going to be the first set of people on it. I actually have a question for you today. I'm going to be very honest. I arrived at this episode and I don't actually have any thoughts.
All you got is questions.
I got
That's it.
a question. One singular.
One question.
One question.
Now I'm stressed. Now the heart
You
is
should be.
beating.
Actually, no, you shouldn't be. But I got one question, and it was spurred by something that I'd seen, like a series of tweets that I'd seen a while back, and I'd just been thinking about it and trying to read about it and trying to like. Because I couldn't figure out what the right response is or what my response would be in that situation. And the question, I'll ask you the question and then I'll read you the tweets.
Okay.
Whew, catching my breath today is not, I feel like this baby has pushed my lungs as far up as it can go and now I can't breathe. So the question is,
I kicked my mom so hard inside of her that she broke a rib.
Yeah, that happens. I've heard that happens. But of course you did. You're Cassandra. Of course you did.
I was just like, get out.
Of course you did. Like, nothing about this surprises me. Okay, Peanut, don't kick me and kick a rib. We're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
We're not doing that. Okay, so the question is humor the right response to bigotry? Is humor the right response to bigotry? And this is what spread this on.
Bigotry.
Yes, ma'am. So this guy is a Nigerian abroad. And he tweeted this.
Like the definition of bigotry again.
I mean, let's simplify and let's call it. I feel like it's all encompassing. So like prejudice and racism and all of those things.
Got you. So all of those
things kind of fall underneath this thing. So the original tweet is actually from a South African. I think this person's South African. And he wrote, I discovered a life hack by accident. A relative insulted me and I missed it. I just kept being nice to him, so he insulted me again. He ended up stopping the conversation to let me know I was supposed to be insulted. It bothered him that I didn't react. You know what? Let them own their nastiness. You don't have to accept what they throw at you. This was the original tweet. Now, this guy responded, and this guy's Nigerian. But he doesn't he lives outside of Nigeria. And he responded, he said, a white patient called me the N-word, and I burst into laughter. He then repeated it, and I laughed harder. He asked why I wasn't offended, and I said, I'm Nigerian. And if you are Nigerian, that statement alone says everything. Um, yeah, we've got very thick skin, but
Yeah, you guys
um,
do.
we
Your
just-
guys, your guys' skin is thick,
we
thick,
got very thick
thick.
skin. He then asked me to go back to my country on the monkey boat I came on. I found that funny too, and I
Jeepers.
laughed some more. He asked why, and I said that, well, I came on an airplane. I always remember the interaction because by the time I walked away, he was very offended by my laughter and that I wasn't offended. I learned a lesson that day. On a different day, another patient said something to me and I carried on. So a colleague interrupted me and interrupted and apologized on behalf of the patient. I was told that what the patient said was racist and the patient was told off. I always remember this because I didn't even know that the statement was racist. If my colleague
Mm,
hadn't interrupted, I would have carried on without knowing that I was supposed to be offended by the racism. These experiences were years ago. I no longer suffer fools. I can't remember the last time a patient was racist to me that I didn't immediately shut it down. So,
mm.
so, I mean, obviously, there's people in the comments, and majority of what they're basically saying is that as a Nigerian, they're not triggered. They don't know, like these things didn't trigger them and that kind of thing. But um, so because his response in this entire interaction was just that he found it funny and ridiculous. It's like the things you are saying make you look ignorant and stupid because
Of
like
course, I'm
the
not
part
even
where
gonna
he exactly
entertain.
the part where he's
Mm,
like, well, I came on a plane, so that this
that's
monkey boat thing,
that's so funny.
this
Like that.
thing,
That's your
it didn't
response
touch
to.
me. And he
Yeah,
found it
yeah,
very funny. And I feel
yeah.
like a lot of, well, I can speak to Nigerians. A lot of Nigerians would probably have also found it funny or ridiculous or would have moved on. Because I've also had my sister say, because my sister's a doctor as well, and I've heard her, talk
Mm,
about how a patient would be like, I don't want you to touch me. I want a white
mm.
doctor.
That's
Or when she was
crazy.
younger, they'd be like, you can't possibly be a doctor. Where did you go to school? Not wanting her to be their doctor, to like tend to them or whatever. And I know for a fact. Well, I must actually go back and ask her because when she was telling me these things, she didn't say like it was she was pained or like it was a thing. It was something she mentioned in
Mm,
passing when we were chatting about something else.
mm,
And
mm.
so this response was humor, and it also made me remember. There's this show on Prime. It's called Alex Cross. Have you seen it?
No, I do
It's
not spend enough time on Amazon Prime.
Well, are you paying for Prime?
I am.
Girl,
I
use
should
your
stop.
money or stop.
I should. There,
Use your
I
money
should
or
stop.
stop.
I
Uh,
literally subscribed to Prime so that I could watch that Phoebe Waller-Bridge show, Fleabag, Fleabag,
oh,
Fleabag.
right,
Have you
right,
watched
right,
it on?
right, right. I did. I
That's the
didn't. I
only
didn't
reason I
finish
subscribe.
feedback, but I remember. Um,
Mhm.
there's this show. It's called Alex Cross. It's based on a series of novels. It's like an old thing. They've made lots of movies about it. Tyler Perry did one once. But anyway, Alex
Okay.
Cross is a detective. He's supposed to be brilliant
Hmm.
and whatever, whatever. And I really love the guy who plays him, and I can't remember his name now. It's really good if you like whodunits,
Okay.
but it's really dark. Yo, that thing is
Oh
dark,
man.
but it's
Okay.
really good. And casting wise, I
Okay.
enjoyed it. Like it's got very strong Black African like casting and leads, and I'm here for it. I enjoyed it. In
Okay.
episode one, I think maybe the second scene, I think maybe the second scene, which I would call the actual character introduction.
Okay.
There's this white guy who's, I think he's murdered his girlfriend or his wife. I don't know. And these two
Um.
detectives are interrogating him. So one of them is black and one is white. And he's very smug. And you can see that he's very racist because of the things he says. And instead of
The person
responding,
who's getting
yes,
interrogated.
yes, instead of him
Okay.
responding
Okay.
to the white guy or any of the accusations, he focuses on the black guy and tries to like wear him down and get him pissed off. So he attacks him. He
Okay.
calls him a monkey. He asks him, he says that. he says things like he's smarter than him. Why doesn't he just go back with the other monkeys? Like very rude, very racial. Like it was bad. And obviously
Mm.
that the black guy, his response to that bigotry in that instance was anger. And he charges at the guy.
Oh,
And
I
so
see.
the
Okay.
the white guy pulls him off and they both leave the interrogation room because at this point you've lost your shit. You can't still be
Yeah,
here.
you can't be there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And now Alex Cross, who in all these shows, the person who's the lead is always way smarter than everyone else, sees what nobody else, like the rest of us are just dumb humans. And so Alex is standing by the door and the boss is getting anxious and is like, we can't, why did you charge him? We can't get a confession this way, la la la. And Alex says, but he already responded. You just didn't hear it. And she's like, okay, fine. You go do your thing. And he's black as well. He's a tall, black built, good looking black man. So he goes in there, with the flexing that he crosses his arms or flexing or showing off. Everything is, he goes in. And the white guy is like, oh, so they sent you to replace your other monkey friend, sort of. And he just goes for Alex. And in that moment, Alex's response is humor. He basically says to the guy that the guy says that he's smarter than Alex. And I don't know why he goes this route, but he basically goes that the universal truth is that as a black man, he's got bigger D than him. And so no matter what he does, you can't measure like he's laughing and he's having a good time before he tells the guy, actually, you've screwed up because I heard you say this and that. But again, his response was
Was
humor.
humor.
And the humor
Mm.
is what got the other guy offended and annoyed and made him lose his control. So I
Mm.
ask again, is humor the right response to bigotry? Or are we just
With you.
encouraging it?
With you, with you, with you.
This is
It's an
chats because I
interesting,
don't think that we have the answers,
for
but
sure, for sure, for sure. It's an interesting question, and I think that there's like in the two examples that you've given, it's people who are using their bigotry to bait a response.
yeah.
Because what the two people, the guy in the hospital on
Mm.
Twitter and this guy on the Alex Cross thing, they're specifically taunting you to get a response out of you. That's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So they want you to get angry. They want you to kick, shout, and scream. They want you to throw a punch. They want you to start something. And so when the person that they're wanting, the response that they're clearly wanting, they're not getting, that's what then upsets them or offends them or whatever. So I think it's interesting to note that yes, in the instance where my desired outcome is one thing and I give you something different and that pisses you off, I still think we've won. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've absolutely won. Now, I think that if you, for example, are in a situation where I'm completely making this up, okay? You are with a group of friends and you're hanging out at someone's house for like pizza and games night, and someone makes a racist comment as a joke, and then everybody laughs, and then you laugh along as well. Like, that's then not okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, that wouldn't be acceptable because what you're doing is you're normalizing it. You're making it okay to laugh at racism or to be racist or to be, biased against gender. I had an example like this at work, where I worked previously, and it was many years ago, but it was in the office, and we had this like open plan office, and so like nobody has an actual office room space, but it's all open plan, so you can hear everybody's conversations or whatever, and this guy who was there, white guy, made a very, very sexist joke. Okay. He said something, to be fair, I can't really remember what the joke was, but he said something and I remember just being like, this is terrible. And then the men around laughed, but all the women around were like, not cool. But like no one said anything. And so what I said to him, I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't get the joke. Can you explain it to me? And he just like looked at me, like literally he looked at me like a deer in the headlights. Like, and I just was like, I love laughing. Like, I'd love to understand the joke,
Yeah.
but I don't understand the joke. So can you explain to me why this is funny?
You.
Um, and he, and you could just see like, it was like a solidarity moment for the Huns, like, because they were all like, everybody's now like watching this play out. The
Yeah.
guys who had laughed are now very focused on their screens,
Mhm.
typing away. The women around are looking at him, waiting for him to explain his sexism. And I was just like, tell me, like smile on my face. I was like, tell me, why is it funny?
Mm.
I didn't get it. And he was like, then he stumbled and now he's shaking and he's like, but I've got a meeting. And then he like walked away, you know? And
Love.
so I'm like, what I appreciated about that, what I appreciated about myself in that moment was I didn't like what I was hearing.
Mm.
And I felt the need to speak up, but I chose to be confrontational but not aggressive. Does
Mm.
that make sense?
Mm.
And he and it's not like we discussed it later. It's not like it was further unpacked later, but a statement was made,
Mm.
you know?
Mm.
Um, so I think that there's different ways in which we can fight bigotry, quote
Mm.
unquote,
Mm.
without, needing to be like the warrior aggressive
Yeah.
response. And maybe, yes, humor in the right circumstances is the right approach.
For me, in that instance, I feel like when someone says, or okay, first of all, I don't often, and I've said this to you before, I don't often pick up these cues because again, I am Nigerian and we racism is not a thing in our country really. We're all black. Who will you be racist against? You know,
Yeah.
um, there's tribalism in Nigeria.
Yes.
There used to be a strong affinity for light skinned people. Not like you were
Mm-hmm.
shunned if you're dark skinned. You had pretty privilege if you were light skinned.
Yeah.
Um, but we we have it rough in Nigeria. You like there's a song by Kiss Daniel. You know Kiss Daniel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the opening line of that song is if you know wise for Lagos, you know if you wise again. Like if you're not sharp, if you're not wise, if you don't wise up in Nigeria, where do you want to be wise? You know? Like where do you want to be street smart? And because we a lot of us are raised rough. Like if you even if you come from a loving home where your parents don't, yell at you or call you names or whatever, you go to school, you'll be fully immersed and your skin will thicken because they will call you
Yeah.
names, you will get bullied. And more often than not, it's all in good fun. It's all like a I don't want to excuse bullying of any sort, but more often than not, I mean, obviously sometimes it is proper bullying, but other times it's just we're very rough people as Nigerians. And so we can say things and do things that we don't actually mean to hurt you, but it's just funny
Mm,
or it's things we've heard or been passed
mm,
down or
mm,
whatever. So like you
mm,
get called
mm.
names, you get teased. And if you get upset when you get called names, then you make it worse. Because now they will really go after you.
Now
It
they're gonna go in.
exactly. So like a lot of us are raised in that sort of way, and I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying like this is probably why we've developed like a really really thick skin because we've gone through like some really rough stuff. And then when you live in a place like Lagos where you have to do the public transport system and get on buses, those conductors. If you live in Lagos and you have never had a one-on-one with a conductor, do you even live in Lagos? Like they will troll you, they will call you names, they'll make fun of you. Sometimes they will even follow you. Like it can be very creepy and very stalkerish. But like you go through that, and so you when someone now when you leave Nigeria where you've been battered and bruised per se, and now someone is calling you a monkey, you're just like, okay. I've been through worse.
It's like, is that the worst you've got?
Exactly.
Like,
It's like, is
is that
that
the
the
worst you
worst
can
that you've
do?
got? Because I literally, I see. So still on that thread, like there's responses from people, and one person is like,
Yeah.
we're not triggered by those sort of things because in Nigeria we're used to it. Like we get insulted every day. So you calling me a monkey or you calling me the N-word. First of all, the N-word doesn't really resonate with us as Nigerians. It's not our history.
Yeah.
We weren't called that. We
Yeah.
weren't treated that
Yeah.
way. We were colonized,
Yeah.
but that's not part of our history. So for this guy,
Yeah.
it meant nothing. But I wonder if we just, because I understand what you were saying and I agree with you. The reason why anyone would go on that journey, and in the two scenarios that I painted, the two stories I told rather, they did want to elicit a response. That was the point. But
Exactly. That
isn't
was the
that the same
goal.
point with like bullying? They want a response.
Yes.
It's just, isn't it the
Yeah.
same point with a lot of gender discrimination? They want a response.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, if our reason for approaching it with humor as opposed to calling out the bad behavior is that they want a response, then aren't we also, I don't want to say normalizing, I don't want to say encouraging, but what have we done to deter that behavior? Because that person's going to do it against someone else because, again, he wants a
Mm.
response and he's not going to keep doing
Mm.
it until he gets someone who gives him the response.
Mm. Who gives him the
So,
response he's looking
exactly.
for?
So I'm like, if all we're doing is applying humor in the situation, are we fixing anything? Are we doing anything to stop this, or are we just letting it happen? I think that's where
I
I'm
think that there
stuck.
I think that there would be a moment where, because I'm just trying to think. In the example that you gave in the hospital, like the guy was like, "Why aren't you offended?"
Hmm.
He felt defeated in his objective to insult.
Yeah.
In the Alex Cross one, the guy, oh, I suppose he was trying not to get arrested.
He
For
was
crime.
already arrested. He was
I
trying
know,
not
but
to
like,
confess.
got you, got you, got you. Because I think that there is also going to be a moment where it's about it's about you make I now feel stupid. Do you know what I mean? Where you overcome a bully and you call them out on their nonsense. Even with this guy, the example that I gave, where I called him out on his joke. I didn't even say this is a bad joke. I didn't say it, but I made him feel small.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? And I
Mm-hmm.
like to think I like to think that there's a world where he goes and he went and he thought about it and was like, you know, she embarrassed me. Like she made me,
Yeah,
she
yeah, yeah,
basically
yeah,
called
yeah.
me out in front of
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
And he's gonna think twice before he does it again.
Mm.
He might go and do it in amongst a male crowd now where he knows he's gonna get the laugh.
Mm.
But he was still called out.
Yeah, okay, okay. I
Do you
get
see
you.
what I'm saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
he was still called out. And
He was
actually,
still called out.
as I was looking at some of the responses on that thread, I just saw someone who was like, I found out that playing dumb and telling them to explain in slow and great detail their insults or jokes gets them to see
Do
how
you
truly
see?
stupid they are.
Do
So
you see?
explain to me.
Explain to me why this
Explain
is
to me.
funny.
Yeah.
Explain to
It's
me why this
literally
is an,
what you said.
why should I be insulted? Explain it to me. Because when someone has to be like, oh, the joke is that women are stupid, then they have said women are, so it's like, oh, so you
Exactly.
believe women
So
are stupid?
yeah.
Do you know what, like it's explain your bigotry, and you're gonna fall on your
Explain it. Explain
face.
it. Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
gonna
yeah, yeah,
fall on
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
face. I love that that person did that as well. Because
Yeah,
I'm just
person
like,
was
yeah,
like, ask them to
ex-
explain it. Just ask them to
explain
explain
it.
it.
Sorry, why
You,
is her joke funny?
you
Yeah.
know, I really like that approach because it would probably never have occurred to me. I feel like I'm one of those people who I wouldn't get offended, but I would just have zero reaction. Do you get what I mean? Like I wouldn't have humor. I'd have zero reaction to you. I'd probably just carry on with whatever I was doing. And if it required me to leave the room, I'd leave the room. And I don't know. I think that my way of like me just not rising to the bait at all in any shape or form is actually worse than applying humor and making them feel stupid or asking them to explain it. You know. So if we I mean again guys, this is chats.
Yes. Yeah, I know. Yes and no. Because there's another thing with like bullies. You also see it in how, you drive behavior in children and even in pets.
Mm.
Okay, it's like if I don't, I'm not going to acknowledge
Mm-hmm.
your tantrum. I'm not going to acknowledge you kick shouting and screaming.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you want to have a conversation with me, come and talk to me normally. Come and talk to me properly, and I will talk to you.
Mm.
But if you're gonna kick, shout, and scream on the floor, I'm gonna leave you. Let me know when you're done. Okay?
See,
If
that's
you
my
as
default reaction. It's just
yeah, but
I'm gonna leave you when you're done.
yeah.
Are you
So
saying that that
so
still works as well in like these kind
I'm
of
saying that it is not effective.
double negative? Wow.
I'm like, it would be, I think it would be, I think a stronger narrative is always going to be like, hey, this is not okay. It's unacceptable what you've done. But some people are going to hear that and be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I'm so sorry. Some people are going to be egged on by that. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? And be like, oh, so you don't like what I'm gonna say, and then they're gonna go in.
Yeah.
So it might be about assessing the moment. So again, if it's the someone makes a racist comment at the pizza party and you're like, hey, that's actually is not cool, that's the right time to maybe call it out directly. But someone like in the hospital room is like making all these trying to bait you and you just don't give in, the lesson is
Mm.
still landed, I think, that I'm not
Mm.
going to accept this. I'm not giving you ultimately what it is that you want.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
I it reminds me of there's a saying, a proverb, a saying, I don't know, or an idiom, I don't know. I can't tell the difference. A saying, an idiom, a proverb, whatever. There is a
They're all
thing.
kind of the same thing. Yeah.
It says don't fight in the mud with a pig. You both get dirty, but the pig enjoys it.
Yes.
This is his
Exactly.
playground. You're gonna walk
Exactly.
away dirty. He's
Exactly.
having a good time. So I think I agree that I don't think aggression and anger is the right response because you're basically coming down to their level. You're giving them what they want, which is to provoke you. They want an equal and negative reaction from you.
Yeah.
I and like I
Yeah.
said, it's not like Cass and I have the answers, but this is something that I've been thinking about for a really long time, and the reason is because I was like, I actually don't know how to respond to this. Like, if I ever find myself in this situation, my default is to ignore you and walk away or keep doing what I'm doing. And I don't know if that's the right response. And I keep seeing this thing about humor and how people are handling these experiences with humor, and I'm like, is that the right response? I know anger is not the right
Yeah.
response because it never ends well. You're just going to
Yeah.
get upset, you're going to get into a fight with people, and more often than not these people don't value your life or value you, so they don't actually care.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
just putting your life and your neck at risk. um
Yeah.
but the humor thing, so I mean, I feel like what we basically said today, and again, it's chats and we're learning this thing. I would really love to hear from other people, like come share your experiences and how you've handled it and how that
Mm.
has worked out for you. But what we've
Mm.
basically come down to is one, either you is how do what is the right response to bigotry? One is you could use humor because then you're gonna offend them, not the other way around, because they're not gonna get what they want,
Mm.
so they get pissed off and they feel
Mm.
stupid.
Mm.
Or
Mm.
you can try Cassie's route of asking them to explain themselves, which I quite like
Mm.
because it's
Mm.
like, sir, explain to me this thing that you said. I wanna see how stupid you really are.
Yeah.
Explain it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
like that approach. I think I will try that.
Mm.
And then the third one is what I do, where and oh, there's four actually. The third one is what I do, where it's like you keep doing what you're doing, you ignore them, you give
I'm not
them
gonna
no.
acknowledge the
I'm not going to
tantrum.
acknowledge it exactly. You give them no attention, no time. You just keep it pushing. That will also annoy a lot of people because you're not
It will.
rising to their you're not giving them anything. The fourth one is
Mm.
what Cassie has also called out. Like, it depends on the setting. If you're like in a party or you're with people or whatever, and it's not an antagonistic situation per se, where
Mm.
someone's actually trying to get a rise out of you, then you can call it out head on. Like, that
Yeah.
is not cool. You can't say that. This is not funny. You can't say that. That sort of thing. So
Mm.
look, I'm not. I don't know. Maybe humor is the right response. I want to hear from you
Mm.
guys. Come and share with us.
Mm.
I really
Mm.
want to know because I don't know how to handle the situation. I think it'd be very helpful for us all to learn. So come share with us on Instagram and TikTok. And don't forget that you can watch, like, subscribe, share, follow, do all of the things on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe anywhere and everywhere you find your podcasts. You can also watch and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Okay, love you. Bye.